Hey, so today I want to talk about journaling. I have so many journals in storage. I don't have them with me, but I probably have 10 journals in storage over the last several years. And journaling has been one of the things that has had, I would say, one of the deepest impacts on my life, in addition to like counseling and having good relationships with people and other things like that. Journaling has been so impactful in my life. I had I had a lot of like trauma and PTSD, and I think that when a lot of people meet me now, I don't think that they would actually suspect that. I'm not someone who goes around like advertising trauma or whatever. You know how some people are always kind of like name dropping trauma, it seems like. And it's because I really have dealt with stuff, and I really had a couple years ago, I really just dug into it and I really dug into things. So in the first part of this video, I want to talk about journaling that I've done for really deep kind of excavating things. And then in the next part of the video, I want to talk about just kind of like daily journal things that, just kind of daily routines that I have when you're not doing maybe such deep, intensive work. So the first thing that I've done is, the best thing that I've done is just a brain dump. If I was in the middle of life and something would kind of like trigger me in the way that I mean, like all of a sudden I'd feel really insecure and my body would start feeling really tight, which is something that I couldn't even recognize initially. That's something I didn't even know really like how to even be aware of. I would just journal about it, and I would just brain dump, kind of continuous stream of thought. And I found that I wouldn't really get anywhere after the first, like couple pages. I'm like, I don't really feel like I'm getting anywhere. But once I started getting into like the third page, the fourth page, all of a sudden I felt like I would get real breakthrough and real clarity of like new insights. Because a lot of times I found that when I was dealing with trauma things, it was these repetitive things, and I was having a lot of thoughts and a lot of feelings, but they weren't going anywhere. It was just a lot of the same repetition. And so once I would journal and I would get into the third page, the fourth page, then there was these new insights and I would get clarity and like, oh, this is making a lot of sense. And I would just try to journal about anything that came to mind and not really judge what came to mind, but just, if this came to mind, I'm going to write it down, and I'm just going to kind of trust that it's going somewhere, and I'm going to trust that my mind thought of it for some reason. And so that was really helpful for bringing up new things, for, maybe I'd be feeling insecure and this would bring up an old memory, and it'd be a memory I hadn't thought about in years, like not consciously, but it turned out that it was really impacting me in my present day. So that was kind of the point of all that. And so after doing that a couple times, a lot of times they would come back to the same memory. I was feeling insecure, I was feeling anxious because of the same memory. And a quote that I heard is this: if you're having too many thoughts, write. And if you're not having like enough thoughts, read. And if you're really anxious, I think that this journaling and writing is really good to kind of get rid of those anxious thoughts. I don't remember where I was going with that, but basically it just helps clear out your thoughts and not be so anxious, because sometimes I would be insecure and not really realize that all these thoughts were going back to the same place, and then I could really process them. And then when I was using it like in addition with counseling, then I could kind of take those, and then at a counselor we could talk about it. And then I found that after I journaled about it a couple times, it didn't really come up anymore. It's like I had felt what I needed to feel. I had come back with an adult frame of mind, and I just felt good about it. And forgiveness was one journaling that I continually was journaling about. I was actually meeting up with a mentor, and the whole point of me meeting up with this mentor was forgiveness, because I realized that I had so many memories that were going on and on and on in loop, and I was really bitter, and I was depressed, and I was anxious, and it was causing so many problems in my life. And I was like, you know what, I just want to be peaceful. I want to have a happy life, and I don't really want to forgive this person, but if that's what's blocking me from having a happy life, then I will forgive this person just so that I can be happy. And when I started that journey, that was all that it was about. It was like, I just want to be happy. And it's been so good, because now I don't even think about those things. These things that used to plague me, they don't plague me anymore. I don't even think about them. And it's just because it's kind of like no pain, no gain. You have to dig into the pain. What's all the muck? What's all the stuff? And when you stop avoiding it, then you can just be happy, and you can have a happy, fulfilling life. So that was one of the biggest things that I would do, is just anytime something would come up, I would just brain dump, and I would try to go for at least 3 or 4 pages, because that's when I found that I had the biggest insights. A couple more structured ways when you're talking about kind of emotional healing. I came across the acronym R.A.I.N, R-A-I-N. Excuse me, it stands for Recognize, Allow, Investigate, Nourish. And it's been great. So if I notice that I'm feeling something in my body. I know I'm feeling something. So first you recognize it. You say, okay, I recognize that I'm feeling this. And I allow myself to feel that, because I'll link the channel because I can't remember her name right now. But she said that the first arrow is like, maybe someone does something rude to you. So boom, you get hit with an arrow. But the second arrow is the one you hit with yourself, because then you judge yourself for feeling sad, or you judge yourself for feeling anxious. And that just exacerbates the problem. And so you allow it, instead of saying like, oh, I just really shouldn't be feeling anxious. Just allow yourself to feel it. Like, no, it's normal. Okay. And then I found that for me, a lot of times that kind of lets my guard down. When I stop feeling bad about feeling anxious, then I can actually get somewhere. But as long as I'm judging myself, I find that I can't really get anywhere. And then I kind of investigate it. What beliefs am I believing? Who would I be without this belief? What does it cause me to be with this belief? What am I believing about myself and others? And I just kind of investigate any real questions that come up. I try to investigate it and really get into it. And I usually get a lot of clarity. This is reminding me of an experience I had in the past. And then the N is for nourish. So then I try to say like self-affirming things. So if one of the things that came up was that I was believing something really negative about myself, then I try to reaffirm myself. If it's something really, really dark, then maybe I'll like take myself out I'll go get a coffee or something, just to really try to affirm, kind of like nurture and nourish yourself. So I found that one's really helpful. The other one is I read a book called How We Love. It's actually a marriage book, but I think that it's really good not in the context of marriage. And it just talks about people's reaction to pain, or people's reaction to conflict, and different ways that people react to conflict. And they have a template in there. So I went to the conference and they had a couple come on stage and they used this kind of conversation template. And I thought that it was really powerful. You start off by, it's used in the context of like an argument, but you can also use it in the context of journaling with yourself. So I've used it in journaling with myself. I'll link it below. And you just ask like, is this experience that I'm going through right now, does this remind me of a past experience? And I found that sometimes I'm reminded of past experiences that seem completely unrelated, but yet my brain thought of it. And so I've learned to just trust my brain. Like, why is my brain thinking of this? And so I think that's a really good worksheet. So it's designed, I think, mostly for like if you're in conflict with someone or arguing with someone, but I've used it journaling with myself, and I think that's really good. So yeah, those are my three predominant ways when I'm dealing with something like that, of that nature. So that'd be brain dumping, R.A.I.N acronym, and then the How We Love template. So I will link that below. When it comes to everyday stuff, there are a couple things that I've done, and I'm always mixing it up. So usually I'll pick one of these. So one is I'll just get like a regular journal, and this is from the Artist's Way. And so you just journal for 20 minutes. So these are just kind of, what I feel like that helps with is just kind of like an emotional hygiene routine, as I think I've heard it called that. It's like sometimes stuff gets built up, and maybe there's some bitterness, or there's some insecurity, or someone said something, or you had an argument, and stuff just gets built up. And so just like you shower and you have like a hygiene routine, you gotta have like an emotional hygiene routine. Like, how do you keep yourself clear? Because if I don't do that, I find myself, I will be having arguments in my head with people that I had a year ago. And it's not like I'm bringing anything new to the table. I'm on a loop with the same repetitive bitter thing. And that's bad. That really poisons my happiness. And I'm sure, I don't know, the other person's probably not even thinking about it. And so I want to keep it clear. So in Artist's Way, they just say that you journal for 20 minutes. And I found that a lot of really good stuff comes up. I know a lot of people who have done this for years, and they seem like some of the most grounded people that I know. It's been hard for me sometimes to keep up with it because it's kind of a lot, 20 minutes. I don't know, for me, for whatever reason, it's hard. I think part of it is just there's a resistance for me getting into emotion sometimes. But I think that it's really impactful. Every time that I've done it, without fail, I find that I've kind of discovered something about myself. So I think what I might do in the future is do maybe a little bit shorter version. I think the benefit of doing it for the full 20 minutes is the longer you do it, the more you get into not such surface level thoughts that you're conscious of, but you get a little deeper in things that you're not conscious of. But if I shortened it, maybe I'd be more likely to do it more often. So that's one. The next one, this is called the Start Today Journal, which I will link below. It's from Rachel Hollis. I've definitely talked about this one before. So you just talk about, or you write 5 things you're grateful for, and then you write out your 10 dreams every day. And so sometimes when I'm really wanting to focus on my bigger vision and my bigger goals, this is the journal that I pull on, because I want to remember, like, what's the bigger vision? Why do I need, like, if I don't want to film a YouTube video today, like, what's the bigger vision? Oh yeah, these are my big dreams, and I feel that filming a YouTube video today would be a step on the way there. The next one that I just got, so I picked one of these. I wouldn't do, these are some that I recommend, and I wouldn't do all of them in one day. This one's called, is this correct orientation? Yeah, New Mindset Who Dis. I really do not like the name. I do not like the name at all, but alas, here we are, we're showing it to you. So this is what it looks like, and it's the same questions every day, except for on the next page, there's like an essay. So fill this box with whatever's on your mind right now. Right now you're feeling this word. How happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? What would make you happier right now? An affirmation, one thing you're proud of about yourself. That's been a good question for me. This question changes. This question right here, on this day that I flipped to, it's who's the person you trust the most? And the next one is fill this box with something you want to manifest. And then on the next day, or on the next page, this is, so it says, on this particular day, it's how do you make time for yourself? The one I did yesterday was who do you need to forgive? And so it's kind of a longer form question that changes every day. So I think that that's been really good, kind of getting to know yourself. I think that this is kind of a good mix between maybe the artist's way, because there is a spot to kind of brain dump, what are you thinking right now? And then there is a longer form spot. So this has been really good. His podcast is all about, like, if you're single and how to, like, fall in love with yourself. That's kind of his whole thing. He has a journal called Single is Your Superpower, which I've heard really good things about, which I would like to do. I mean, I'm not single, but I still want to do that kind of, work on, like, knowing what I want, even though I am in a relationship. The next one, the last one, this is the one I rave on about, on and on about, is the 5-minute journal. This is the one that I'm currently, well, actually what I've been doing recently is I've been doing this one in the morning and then this one around noon, but I go back and forth. It, like, really doesn't matter. So this one's the 5-minute journal. I rave about this journal. It's just so good. I think mostly what's so great about it is that I found that it's so doable. It's so short. This is like a 1-pager. Whereas some of these are like 3 pages. Some of these are 20 minutes. So this one is, you start with what you're grateful for, what would make today great, and then daily affirmations, and that's what you do in the morning. And the evening it says 3 amazing things that happened today, and how could I have made today even better. What I like about this one is it's very positive. Like, I feel like some of the questions in New Mindset Who Dis, I hate the name of this, New Mindset Who Dis, is they're a little, what's the word, excavation-y? I don't know. So they're not always, this one's happy. This is like, what are you grateful for? What would make today great? So they're like uplifting questions. This one, I feel, the reason I do this at noon is because I want to set my day off on a good track. So I want to do the excavating, but I want to not do that right first thing in the morning. Maybe this would be a good one in the evening. Well, I think it's kind of designed for the morning. I'm not sure. So yeah, but there is more of that getting deep, and who do you need to forgive, for example, is one of the questions. And so, yeah, you have to be kind of careful what time of day you do that one. So yeah, these are the ways that I journal. If I want to, I brain dump a lot, actually. That's something that I do a lot. I might just do that anytime I feel that it's needed. But I do like these guided journals because I feel like they ground you, and I feel like I notice patterns with them. So yeah, I've really liked them. So let me know what you think of journaling or how much you've journaled. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys for watching this. I'm trying a new thing. I hate editing videos, so I'm trying a new thing where I don't edit. So I just talked all the way through. So I had a little misspeaks. I misspoke a few times, like just then. And so I don't want to edit. So I try to just go straight through. So we'll see how it goes. It would cut down my work substantially if I can make this happen, but it may make the video quality go down. It may make it seem more natural. I'm not sure. There are pros and cons to what could happen. So if you have any feedback about this no editing and style, let me know. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.